Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all fantastic. On today's video, we are looking at a few little devices that Fractal users will find particularly useful and appealing. I've got the new OCD Quad Plus. This lets you add 4 external foot switches to your FM3 via the TRS outputs on the back of the FM3. They would hook up to these 2 TRS jacks here, and you can set them up as stand-in switches. I'm going to give you a tutorial on how I set up stand-in switches, as well as a few ideas on how I would use 4 extra switches on an FM3. They also sent over this dual expression knob controller over here, and I'll give you a few examples there. Again, 2 TRS jacks on the back and 2 nice big sturdy knobs on there. So you could use these to just kind of instantly access and tweak continuous parameters, and they're kind of big enough so you could actually move them with your foot if you wanted to do that instead of using an expression pedal. They also sent over one of their little duo foot switches here, which takes a single jack on here. So if you wanted to run something like 2 expression knobs and 2 extra foot switches on your FC6 or your FM9, you could do that. But for now, let's dive in and set up some stand-in switches. Let's set these extra foot switches up. We need to set them up as stand-in switches. First, we need to connect them and calibrate them. So I've got the bottom jack connected to pedal jack number 1 on the FM3 with a TRS cable. That's going to control these 2 foot switches here, and then the pedal 2 jack is going to the top jack on here to control these 2 foot switches. Let's press the E encoder and go to setup. We will navigate down to I/O, and I've scrolled across here to the pedal page. So you can see I've set the pedal 1 and pedal 2 setup to be 2 switches, tip and ring. I'm going to calibrate them. I'm going to hit enter here. I'm going to press this bottom pedal and release it. Then I'm done. Very, very straightforward. And I will do the same process over here for this switch. And I'm done. Next, let's exit this. And we're going to go to FC controllers and onboard switches. This is just personally the way I like to set this up, but we're going to scroll across to the stand-in switches page over here. And you can see FM3 switch 1 tip ring, switch 2 tip and ring. I can set to any button on any of the layouts, but I am going to set up layout 8 specifically for our stand-in switches, and I'm just going to label them like so. We'll just go switch 1, 2, 3, and 4 over here. Make sure that I actually put those numbers in correctly. So we want this one over here to be number 2, and I will select layout number 8 for all of these. Then we'll take a look at FM3 edit, and I can assign whatever I want over there. Over in FM3 edit, you can see I'm on layout 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4 are my foot switches, which are mapped to those stand-in switches. This is the way I like to do this with stand-in switches because it's very easy to keep track of. Essentially, I am just going to put whatever functions I want on each of these 4 switches, and they correspond to those 4 extra switches on the OCD. In this case, I'm using them for the extra scenes. So we've got scene 4, 5, 6, and 7. We can now see over on the FM3 that if I leave my FM3 on the scenes layout, I've got scene 1, 2, and 3, and I can go through and select those very easily by pressing these buttons. And then I've got scene 4, scene 5, scene 6, and scene 7. So I've got access to 7 scenes. No tap and hold functions required on there. I just press it, and I would go through and probably put some little numbers on here just to remember that. Let's just hear this preset for fun. let's take a look at another way I would lay this out. Personally, on my FM3, when I play live, I have foot switches 1 and 2 set up with tap and hold functions. Basically, scene 1 and 2 on this switch, scene 3 and 4 on this switch, tap tempo on the third switch, and if I press and hold this, I get the tuner. What I've done with my stand-in layout is I have mapped the first button to a control switch, and the control switch is mapped to the amp input boost as well as the fat switch. I'm using the Mark IV model, and that is my kind of go-to beefy lead sound on there. The second switch I'm using to select the multi-tap delay in this preset, but specifically to select channel A, which has my lead delay set on it, and you can see smart bypass is activated there. Then the third switch I've got set up to select and activate the second channel, or I should say channel B in the multi-tap delay. This is set up for that wobbly chorus sound, and then I have left the fourth foot switch to select scene 5 on here. So if I'm on my main chunk scene, I can kick in a boost and fat switch, or I can select one of the multi-tap delay modes, and I can do this on any of the existing scenes. Setting up the expression knobs is the same process as setting up an expression pedal. Make sure you have cleared any stand-in switch assignments. We will go to the setup menu and the IO page. You can see now I've got each pedal set up as an expression pedal. I can hit enter and just move it through its range of motion to calibrate it. I will do the same thing for pedal number 2 over here, which is my top knob in this case. And then I can go through and assign these to any parameter that supports continuous control. Something I might like in this particular preset is, let's go to the layout. Let's come all the way over here to the amp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit edit. I'm going to come over to the amp selection, and I'm going to assign the input trim over here to the very first expression pedal over here. So we'll set that one to pedal number 1. This will let me basically tailor the input gain of any amp over here. So I'll do that in the amp block. That's kind of cool. And what I might do is I will select my multi-tap delay input gain over here. I'm quite happy with the overall level on this. Let's come over to mix over here, and I can navigate down here to input gain. I'll hit enter and we'll select pedal number 2 over there. Very, very easy. Now I can control the overall input gain into that block. OCD also do custom foot switches for other modeling devices, and they also make rack panels. I got them to put together a very basic rack panel, essentially as a breakout section for my Axe FX3. So I've got a pair of 1/4-inch outputs over here. I've got an SPDIF output, and I've also got a USB connection on there. So for any time I want to take my Axe FX3 out and rack it, I can do that, and I can have this patch panel underneath it so that I don't have to reach around the back. At the moment, I'm actually using it so that I've got these running as inputs to my Axe FX3 from my external effects. I can connect something like an FM3 or an FM9 via SPDIF over here. And then of course, I've got the USB, which is just very handy, and it keeps my entire desk very neat and tidy. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. A big thank you to the OCD team for sending these out for me to demo. There is more information in the video description, including a discount code you can use if you want to grab one of these. If you want to support my channel directly, there's also some links in the video description to do that. I hope you have a fantastic day. Go and enjoy some glorious tones, and I will see you next time. Cheers.